I discovered that my wife was sharing a meal with her boyfriend, so I made a reservation for the table right next to theirs. The city was enveloped in the gentle embrace of the golden hour, a fleeting moment of tranquility that seemed almost otherworldly. I lingered by the window, observing the world as it danced beneath me, while my own existence had come to an unforeseen standstill. The trust that had once grounded me had faded into a mere echo, leaving me feeling untethered, searching for a sense of direction. The future I once envisioned with Ashley now seemed like a distant dream, a fragment of my life that had quietly faded into the shadows. In the stillness, a fresh understanding started to emerge. Free from the burden of those illusions, I found the courage to face the truth. Ashley, the individual I once believed I understood, had transformed into a stranger before my eyes. I in her absence, I found myself grappling with a profound question. Who am I in the void left by the life we once crafted together? Retribution had never woven itself into the fabric of my intentions. What I sought in this moment was clarity. As the truth crystallized, I discovered myself on uncharted territory. Trust had become a fragile concept, slipping through my fingers like sand. I found myself questioning not just others, but the very essence of my own being. Amidst the swirling uncertainty, the one constant I could rely on was my own determination, the quiet strength of standing resolute, regardless of how delicate everything else appeared. The journey of rebuilding unfolded gradually, shrouded in uncertainty. Each tiny advancement resonated with a sense of achievement, even as the complete vision remained elusive. What I once perceived as a conclusion has transformed into the dawn of something fresh, a path shrouded in uncertainty, yet imbued with a peculiar tranquility in its vagueness. I wish to express my gratitude for accompanying me on this journey. Your presence here, whether born from shared experiences or a quest for a narrative that embodies resilience, is genuinely valued. Each narrative carries its own significance, and the opportunity to share this one with you transcends mere words. At this moment, the true endeavor commences. This narrative transcends mere betrayal. It delves into the intricate process of reconstruction and the creative re-envisioning that follows the shattering of all that once was. It revolves around the arduous, chaotic, and frequently isolating endeavor of uncovering the truth and mustering the bravery to begin anew. Join me as we plunge into the depths of this story, contemplating the essence of reconstructing from the ruins. Share your reflections, your observations, and your perspectives as we journey together. Let us share our insights, for this narrative belongs not solely to me, but to all of us. Let us embark on this journey. Welcome to Evening Reads, where we gather together. Be sure to show your appreciation for this video and subscribe for more captivating tales. I trust you will find pleasure in today's narrative. Let us plunge into the depths. The gentle illumination of the desk lamp cast elongated shadows over David Ellison's disordered workspace as he completed his report. A spring storm battered the windows of his high-rise office in downtown Chicago, each gust shaking the glass with a fierce intensity. 9:45 in the evening. Once more, for the fourth time this week, he let out a weary sigh, his fingers pressing against his temples as his eyes felt heavy with fatigue. The quarterly review was on the brink of completion, awaiting just one final triumph from the company's standout consultant. David had consistently adhered to a stringent principle. It was excellence or nothing at all. It had ushered him into a realm of success until recently. As he gathered his things, he called out to his colleague, "Leo, are you still present?" David tossed his backpack over one shoulder and gave a nod. "I'm in the final stages of completion. Yet another late night. Jennifer surely embodies the essence of a saint." "She understands," David responded, his tone unwavering, yet a brief shadow of uncertainty flitted across his features. The journey back to their suburban townhouse unfolded in silence, punctuated solely by the rhythmic patter of rain and the constant hum of tires on the wet pavement. David's thoughts wandered to Jennifer, reflecting on the changes that had unfolded. Subtle indications, a more relaxed vibe, smiles that appeared askew. Increased yoga retreats and gatherings with friends have become more frequent than ever. Nothing is certain, merely an incessant whisper from within. As he pulled into the driveway, He observed that Jennifer's car was absent. The house lay shrouded in darkness. Once more, the silence within was palpable, almost suffocating. He glanced at his phone. Silence prevails. A plate of stir-fry rested in the fridge, its vibrant colors concealed beneath a layer of cling film. A sticky note, accompanied by Emma.do not stay awake for me. My affection for you knows no bounds. David heated the food in the microwave and settled at the counter, casually scrolling through his emails. His phone vibrated, signaling a voicemail from Jennifer. With a sense of relief, he pressed play, only to come to an abrupt halt. David remained motionless, his eyes fixed intently as Jennifer stepped into the room. Her eyes widened in surprise, the laughter she attempted to conjure echoing hollowly in the air. David's silence hung heavy with unvoiced thoughts, and he allowed it to stretch, observing her fidget beneath its oppressive presence. She remained unaware of the depths of his knowledge. "What's happening, David?" she inquired, her voice trembling with uncertainty. He took his time to reply. He allowed her to fidget, caught in the uncertainty of his own stillness. His intellect was keen, methodical. This was not a matter of confrontation. It was a question of control. She had meticulously woven her tapestry of deceit, and now it was beginning to fray at the edges. "I'm just thinking," David replied, his voice steady and far off. Jennifer moved nearer, her voice taking on a gentler tone. "How are you holding up?" David's gaze remained fixed upon her. "I am well, merely contemplating all that surrounds me." His words were carefully chosen, crafted to heighten the tension, to leave her questioning what insights he possessed. Her eyes danced with doubt, yet David held his ground with unwavering calm. Unbeknownst to her, all that she believed she was concealing had already been exposed in its entirety. "I need you to be honest with me," he said, his voice low yet resolute. The atmosphere thickened around them, and David sensed that the moment had arrived. He had resolved not to inquire once more. The truth would reveal itself, but only on his own terms. Concerning employment, he gazed at her with unwavering intensity. What is loyalty? What does it truly signify? A fleeting expression crossed Jennifer's face. Perhaps unease, perhaps guilt, but she swiftly concealed it with a yawn. Contemplative musings for a Sunday evening. She elongated her limbs in a dramatic flourish. "I am utterly exhausted, retiring for the night. Are you joining us?" "In a moment," David replied with calm assurance. With a moment's pause, she bent down and pressed her lips gently to his forehead. Refrain from lingering in the late hours. Once she vanished upstairs, David reclined, attuned to the rhythmic patter of rain against the windows. The rift in his existence had expanded into a vast chasm, yet, unlike many, he was not inclined to plunge recklessly into its depths. He would construct a bridge of facts, each step taken with meticulous care, and as he crossed, it would be with intention and irrevocability. A few days later, David stood outside Hayes' design studio, nestled on a stylish street in downtown Chicago. While it may not boast the most ostentatious displays, it is celebrated for its meticulously curated collections that showcase a keen eye for detail. That he lingered outside, observing the refined guests as they gracefully entered and exited the evening's exhibition. Beyond the expansive glass panes, he caught sight of her. Lila Hayes, she stood tall and elegant, her dark hair artfully twisted into a sleek bun. 38, if his research held true, a handful of years beyond Jennifer, yet radiating a distinct energy, sharp and poised. David adjusted his jacket with a practiced ease and entered the room, gracefully accepting a glass of wine from a passing tray as he navigated the atmosphere around him. The artwork captivated him, vibrant and raw, alive with jagged lines and a tempest of feeling. "Is this your inaugural visit with us?" David glanced over to find Lila standing next to him, her smile perfectly crafted. In close proximity, her eyes gleamed with a keen, observant intensity. "Indeed," he replied, locking eyes with her. "The collections are undeniably striking. My sincere gratitude to you." This exhibit explores the theme of transformation born from turmoil. She pointed to a canvas, where soft blues and greens were interrupted by bold, aggressive strokes of red. Appropriate, David responded. At times, fractures become essential. There was an intriguing quality in his tone that compelled her to observe him with greater intensity. Do you happen to be a collector, sir? Ellison, David replied with a smooth cadence. Not one to gather, merely a seeker of the truth. With a slight tilt of her head, curiosity danced in her eyes. Lila Hayes. He grasped her hand, feeling the strength of her hold and catching a fleeting spark of intrigue in her gaze. Welcome to my gallery, Lila said with a graceful smile, her voice flowing effortlessly. David grasped her hand, taking note of the solid grip. Your husband surely takes great pride in the redivable creation you've established here. A fleeting shadow danced across her features. Ethan offers his support, albeit in his unique manner. She surveyed the lively room, her eyes dancing over the animated crowd. Are you by yourself, Mr. Ellison? David, if you would be so kind. Indeed, this evening my wife had different intentions. As did my husband, Lila responded, her smile growing more strained. Occasionally, personal training sessions may extend beyond their scheduled time. The silent burden of those words hung in the air, unrecognized yet unmistakably evident. David meandered toward a modest canvas nestled in a serene corner, where two abstract figures danced in a delicate embrace, yet strained to separate, bound solely by a singular crimson thread. This one is powerful. Lila moved gracefully to his side. The creator dubs it the thread of betrayal. Captivating title. Betrayal etches scars that linger, never fully mending, she murmured gently. It transforms your existence, unbidden. David pivoted, locking his eyes with hers completely. Certain narratives are destined for a second telling. Their gazes intertwined, a still, charged instant of shared comprehension. None mentioned. There shall be no allegations made. Only the collective flame of understanding. Are you interested in learning more about the artist's creative journey? Lila inquired, her refined demeanor effortlessly returning as other patrons strolled by. David nodded in agreement, his expression reflecting a deep understanding. The journey unfolds insights as profound as the destination itself as they meandered through the gallery. Their conversation flowed between brushstrokes and themes, yet beneath the surface of their artful dialogue, unspoken truths about loyalty, betrayal, and the subtle maneuvers of the overlooked lingered in the air. As David emerged into the brisk night air an hour later, no explicit words had been exchanged. Yet, all had been comprehended. He cast a fleeting look over his shoulder. Lila lingered by the window, her gaze fixed on him as he departed. He offered a subtle nod, a blend of recognition and commitment. She handed it back before pivoting to face her guests once more. It lacked any semblance of romance. It was strategic. An agreement forged in mutual comprehension. A new dawn. As David drove home, the chill of his wedding band pressed against his skin, a constant reminder of the choices he had made. After weeks of uncertainty, the way ahead finally came into clear view. 2 days later, David found himself at a hidden coffee shop nestled between a bookstore and a vintage boutique, distant enough from the known to guarantee a sense of seclusion. He selected a corner seat that offered an unobstructed view of the entrance, ordered a cup of black coffee, and settled in to wait. Lila Hayes entered the room with impeccable timing, clad in a chic black turtleneck and expertly tailored pants. Serene, meticulous, and prepared. She noticed him right away, her gaze sweeping across the cafe before she approached, poised and serene. "Thank you for meeting me," David said, rising as Lila drew near. With an elegant motion, she settled into the seat opposite him. "Your message captivated my attention. Shared interests to explore. Delightfully ambiguous." A server approached and Lila placed her order for an Americano. Once they found themselves in solitude once more, she leaned in just a bit, her voice dropping to a whisper. "Let us forego the niceties, Mr. Ellison. What brings us to this moment?" David locked eyes with her, unwavering. "I suspect that our partners may be involved in an extramarital relationship." Lila remained composed, devoid of any flinch, gasp, or theatrics. A mere hint of tension at the edges of her eyes. "What evidence do you possess?" David unlocked his phone, revealing a document that he slid gracefully across the table. Text exchanges between Jennifer's phone and a number associated with Ethan. Timelines, venues. Additionally, a voicemail intended for him found its way to me by error. Lila's gaze swept across the screen, her face a mask of inscrutability. Only the faint lightening of her knuckles encircling the coffee cup revealed any hint of her inner turmoil. "How long have you known?" she inquired softly. "Is it confirmed?" David responded, saying it would take about 2 weeks. Under suspicion for an extended period. He observed her intently. "What about you?" Lila emitted a laugh devoid of warmth or mirth. "It is often the case that women are the first to know. Yet, where is the evidence? That presents a greater challenge. I have observed the charges associated with hotels. Holes in his agenda. Every single cliché. Still, you have not faced him." With a slight shrug, she conveyed her indifference. For what purpose? Rejections. Weeping. Vows. The same worn-out narrative. Her gaze sharpened. "Yet, I find it hard to believe you summoned me here merely to exchange tales of conflict." David nodded, captivated by her lucidity. "I wish to extend a proposal for an alliance. The opportunity to mend fractured unions has long since passed. Yet, something deeper, more constructive." Lila arched an eyebrow. "Retribution? Justice?" David corrected, his voice steady and composed. "According to our conditions, open to all. Undeniable." Their coffee has arrived. Lila stirred hers with a deliberate slowness, her eyes reflecting a deep contemplation. "What thoughts are occupying your mind?" "Creating a moment? That's not my style." David replied with a calm demeanor. "That I am contemplating something far more exacting." He leaned in, his gaze piercing. "They believe themselves to be quite clever," David murmured, his fingers tracing the rim of his coffee mug, concealed amidst the obvious. "What if we turn that to our advantage?" Lila's gaze intensified, her curiosity evident. "I am all ears. I have been observing the unfolding patterns. On most Friday nights, Jennifer finds herself in the company of Ethan, their encounters cloaked in the pretense of business dinners. Various locations throughout the town. I possess a strong sense of foresight regarding their next location." "What comes next?" Lila inquired, raising an eyebrow. "Do we merely arrive and hurl beverages at them?" She let out a humorless chuckle, barely discreet. "Nothing that crude," David replied, his voice steady. "We secure a table at the same restaurant. Allow them to witness our union. Allow them to simmer in their own thoughts. Marvel. And then, when the moment is perfect, we unveil it all. Serenely, in a manner visible to all. Lila's expression shifted into a realm of contemplation. "Is there something beyond the text records you presented to me?" "Indeed," David affirmed with certainty. "Monetary matters. Images captured from their exclusive enclave at Shoreline Bistro. I have been meticulous." Lila reclined, contemplating his words. "What is the reason for the public aspect? Why not handle this discreetly?" David's jaw tightened ever so slightly. "For months, they have shamed us in the shadows. Certain betrayals warrant a witness." She observed him with great attention. "David Ellison, you were not exactly what I had anticipated. Extremely regulated. Order is something I hold in high regard," David stated plainly. "And repercussions." Her eyes narrowed ever so slightly. "This goes beyond mere exposure, doesn't it? There is a yearning for something greater." David's eyes turned steely. "I desire for them to forfeit what they believe to be invulnerable. Their security, their status, their comfort." Lila savored her drink, her mind clearly at work. "Should we proceed with this, and while I remain noncommittal for now, it is essential that we establish some ground rules. Avoiding chaotic disputes. No dramatics that portray us as unsteady." David nodded in agreement. "This is accuracy, not theatrics." Then, in a soft voice, she inquired, "What is your ultimate goal?" David paused, then spoke. "For me, it's divorce. I have already sought the counsel of my attorney." Lila offered a deliberate nod, her movements measured and thoughtful. I must request to examine all of your evidence. Each fragment. If I am putting my reputation on the line, I seek assurance. David deftly pushed a polished USB drive across the table. All is present. Embrace the moment and allow yourself the luxury of time. With a deft motion, she slipped it into her pocket. That I shall reach out to you tomorrow to share my decision. They completed their coffee, and a silence enveloped them, an uneasy alliance taking shape in the air between them. Two souls, bound together by a common treachery as they prepared to depart. Lila paused for a brief moment, caught in a web of contemplation. "What brings you to my side?" she inquired, her eyes piercing. "This was something you could have managed on your own." David responded with candor. "There are two reasons. To begin with, you are entitled to the truth. Moreover, the impact of justice resonates more profoundly when there is a companion who comprehends its essential nature." Lila pondered for a moment, then reached out her hand. "So it shall be tomorrow." David grasped it with determination. On the morrow, as they emerged into the crisp evening air, there was nothing in their farewell that suggested the weight of their encounter to those who happened to glance their way. It appeared as though two seasoned professionals were finalizing a significant business agreement. Serene, ordinary. Yet, hidden beneath the surface tranquility, a tempest was gathering strength, and soon it would shatter. That afternoon, David found himself at his desk, the phone snug against his ear, replaying Jennifer's voicemail greeting for the third time. He terminated the call, leaving no message in his wake, and cast a fleeting glance at the clock. It is 2:17 p.m. on a Tuesday. She was meant to be attending meetings. His email chimed, a whisper of Lila's presence lingering in the air. Reviewed the evidence. "It is imperative that we have a conversation. Will you be free this evening?" David swiftly typed a brief affirmation, specified the time, and then redirected his focus to his planning. He meticulously observed Jennifer's habits for weeks, honing in on their familiar Friday night locales. 3 elegant dining establishments in the heart of downtown align perfectly with their modus operandi. At this moment, he found it essential to seek confirmation. The phone vibrated, revealing the name Will Jensen on the screen. "Shall we indulge in some drinks this evening?" "Regrettably, I am unable to make it this evening." "Is it tomorrow already?" "Absolutely. Is everything all right?" "Almost there," David responded succinctly. He perused his notes with a keen eye before dialing the first restaurant on his meticulously curated list. "Welcome to Lakeshore Grill. How can I help you today?" "Hello, I would like to confirm my reservation for Friday." "Ellison or perhaps Hayes." A moment of stillness. "Regrettably, there appears to be no reservation listed under either name." "Thank you." He ended the call and attempted the second, yielding the same outcome. "Good afternoon, Riviera. This is the third call." "Hello, I would like to confirm my reservation for Friday." "Ellison or Hayes." A moment of silence, followed by a soft affirmation. "Indeed, Mr. Hayes. At 8 p.m., 2 guests will be seated at the window, just as requested." Flawless. "I appreciate your confirmation." David concluded the call, a chill of clarity enveloping him. Target has been confirmed. Following that was the preparation of the venue. David retrieved the contact details for Lydia Carver, the proprietor of Riviera Point 2 years prior. He had guided her through a harrowing software breach that loomed over her business like a dark cloud, threatening to engulf it entirely. She had vowed to grant him a favor whenever he desired. The moment had arrived that he pressed the numbers for her direct line, a connection known to only a select few. "David Ellison." Lydia responded with a gentle warmth. "Time has passed since we last connected. How may I assist you today?" "Hello, Lydia. I'm reaching out to take you up on that favor you once extended." A moment of stillness. "I am all ears. I would like to secure a reservation for 2 this coming Friday. At the stroke of 8 p.m. Seated at a particular table. While Friday is completely booked, what about for you? I shall bring it to fruition." "Which table are you referring to?" "By the window, next to the table reserved in the name of Hayes." Lydia's tone took on a more serious note. "That seems quite fragile." "It is. David replied with calm assurance. This is a matter of a personal nature that requires my attention. Silently, yet in the open. Should I be concerned about any potential drama at my restaurant? There are no scenes. Silence is preferred. It was simply a conversation that had to happen, David assured. I assure you it will remain courteous. Lydia released a breath. Your assistance was instrumental in rescuing my business. David. Your reservations have been confirmed for 7:45 p.m. I shall take it upon myself to manage the seating arrangements. My sincere gratitude. Additionally, when the time arrives, I may require a bit of help from your team. Share your thoughts with me. David articulated his request with clarity. As he concluded, Lydia fell silent for a moment. That request is quite unconventional, yet entirely achievable. Is there a valid justification? David assured her it was the best. Thus, it is complete. I will send you the confirmation via text. David concluded the call and reclined, sensing the strategy fall seamlessly into alignment. The stage for conflict was established. At last, the moment had come to solidify their strategy alongside his unforeseen companion. That evening, David encountered Lila at a serene Italian bistro, hidden from the familiar haunts of their social lives. They selected a hidden corner booth, their voices hushed even in the embrace of solitude. The evidence is airtight, Lila declared, sliding a folder across the table with a confident flourish. I'm all in. David gave a slight nod. I have received confirmation. They are indeed reserved at Riviera this Friday, 8 in the evening. We shall find ourselves positioned directly beside them. Lila's eyes sparkled, a glimmer of admiration illuminating her gaze. It seems you have been quite occupied. What happens once we take our seats? Lila inquired, her gaze piercing. We behave as though everything is just fine. David responded. Two companions sharing a meal together. We allowed them a glimpse of ourselves. Allow them to experience that discomfort. There exists a possibility that they may depart. They will not, David stated with a calm assurance. Jennifer detests public displays more than anything else. She will feign that all is well. Ethan will take his cues from her. Lila pondered, her finger gently tapping against the rim of her wine glass. What comes next? David meticulously detailed the remainder of the plan, unfolding it with careful precision, step by step. He observed as Lila's demeanor transformed from cautiousness to a semblance of hesitant admiration. She conceded that it was ruthlessly elegant once he had finished. Yet, it hinges on impeccable timing. Precisely. That is precisely why I require complete dedication. Once we embark on this journey, retreat is not an option. Lila savored her wine, her gaze fixed intently upon him. You are different from what I had anticipated. There is no anger. Keep it simple. Anger is a tangled web, David reiterated with a certain simplicity. Victory lies in precision. Lila raised her glass, a glimmer of anticipation in her eyes. Precision. David gently clinked hers, into the realm of justice. Having completed their meal, they meticulously refined the last details. At last, Lila posed the question he had long anticipated. Is it possible that they truly love one another? David hesitated. Is it significant? I suppose not, she murmured. Yet, I find myself pondering the narratives they weave to rationalize their actions. David stated with a flat tone that individuals excel at reshaping reality to fit their needs. It is our duty to dismantle those illusions. Lila nodded, a fresh determination igniting within her gaze. So, it's Friday then. I must note, I will be contributing something additional to the mix. David arched an eyebrow, a silent question lingering in the air. Oh, you're not alone in collecting secrets. A cunning smile danced upon her lips. Ethan has exhibited carelessness in other areas as well. Would you be willing to provide more details? Let us preserve a touch of enigma for Friday. Lila gracefully emerged from the booth. 7:30 at Riviera. We are an indelible memory in their minds. David observed her departure, a spark of admiration igniting within him. She possessed a keen edge, a heightened focus that surpassed his expectations. propelled by an unyielding, icy clarity. The stage for conflict was established. The allies stand poised. At this moment, they found themselves in a state of anticipation. As the night deepened, David's younger brother, Eric, found himself in his home office, casually leaning against the bookshelf at T36. Eric possessed a physique similar to David's. Yet while David exuded a sense of quiet control, Eric embodied a laid-back charm that concealed his keen instincts. "Are you certain about this?" Eric inquired, brandishing a diminutive microphone. "It feels like overkill," Eric muttered, his fingers absently rolling the tiny mic in his hand. "It's insurance," David replied, his fingers skimming over the papers scattered across his desk. "All must be recorded meticulously." Eric shook his head, observing him as he toiled away, incorporating Lila Hayes into the mix, orchestrating this entire dinner arrangement. Why not directly face Jennifer? Should one file for divorce and embrace a new chapter? David lifted his eyes, locking onto the worried expression of his brother. This transcends the mere dissolution of a union. It revolves around the essence of truth and repercussions. It seems reminiscent of retribution. Justice, David corrected with a smooth confidence. Jennifer and Ethan engaged in more than mere infidelity. A vast web of deception was meticulously crafted. They deftly orchestrated the actions and emotions of those in their orbit. It must carry some significance. Eric let out a weary sigh, observing the steadfast determination reflected in David's gaze. "Rest assured, I'm here for you, without fail." He raised the microphone, pondering its rightful place. Within the confines of the jacket's pocket. "Connects directly to my phone, capturing every detail." Eric's brow knitted in concentration. "Isn't it unlawful to record individuals without their consent in this place?" David offered a constrained smile. "Not in public spaces where one cannot reasonably expect privacy." "I have verified." Eric nodded, a hint of admiration flickering in his eyes despite his reluctance. "Consistently meticulous." "It matters," David said softly, as he tucked several important documents into a sleek folder. "This must be completely sealed." The doorbell chimed, shattering the silence that hung in the air. David glanced at his watch. "That would be Emma." Eric arched an eyebrow, a silent question lingering in the air. Is Jennifer a friend? A move fraught with complexity. She finds herself wavering. David redevited that I must ascertain her position before Friday arrives. He swung the door wide, revealing Emma, her posture taut with anticipation. Her eyes grew wide as she caught sight of Eric upon their entrance. "I had no idea anyone else would be here," she said hurriedly, gripping her purse more tightly. David explained that his brother was assisting with something. "He will emerge shortly." With a firm grip, Eric seized his coffee mug. "I shall be found in the kitchen. Would you like one, Emma?" "No thanks," she replied, her voice rigid. When they found themselves alone, David motioned toward the couch. Emma perched on the brink, her shoulders tense and poised. "Jennifer is aware of our conversation," she exclaimed. "Yesterday, she confronted me." David's expression remained composed. "What words did you share with her?" "You posed inquiries, yet I refrained from providing details." Her eyes conveyed a silent desperation. "David, I find myself quite ensnared in this predicament." "Jennifer has been my friend for years," Emma said, her voice strained, her hands twisting nervously in her lap. "Yet, what she is doing is undeniably misguided. I'm at a loss, unsure of the path forward." "You choose a side," David replied, his tone soft yet resolute. "Not my possession. It does not belong to her. Reality or illusion?" Emma gently shook her head, a subtle gesture that spoke volumes. "It isn't as straightforward as it seems." "Indeed, it is." David leaned in, his gaze unwavering. "Emma, I'm not requesting that you turn against Jennifer. She has already turned her back on both of us. I urge you to uphold what is just and true. By assisting you in bringing her shame before others." Emma's voice trembled slightly. She recounted the events of Friday night to me. That she, in some inexplicable way, caught sight of your name on the reservation list. David's gaze sharpened just a touch. Thus, Jennifer was aware that he would be at Riviera. Intriguing. What more did she express? Emma paused, a soft sigh escaping her lips. She reiterated, "You wouldn't comprehend. The connection between you has long since faded into silence." Her gaze fell, her voice a gentle whisper. Ethan rekindles a spark within her, breathing life back into her spirit. David absorbed her words without a flicker of hesitation, even as they pierced him profoundly. His jaw clenched with tension. "Do you truly believe that this can excuse months of deception?" "No," Emma whispered. "However, David, this scheme of yours carries an air of chill." In contrast to their actions, David responded, a certain edge sharpening his voice, which was, perhaps, tinged with compassion. Emma recoiled, and David paused, releasing a slow breath. His voice took on a gentle quality. "I am not requesting your involvement. Simply grasp the necessity of this unfolding. What is it that you require from me?" "Impartiality. Should Jennifer inquire about my intentions, you are to remain uninformed." Emma inclined her head with a measured grace. "That is within my capabilities." She paused, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. "For all it's worth, I never gave my consent to this." "Not at all." Still, you held her secret close. "I believed it would extinguish, that she would cease." Emma's eyes sparkled with a captivating brilliance. "She is embarking on a path fraught with peril. David. You possess a commendable character." David rose to his feet, a silent cue that the dialogue had reached its conclusion. "Friday transforms everything, Emma. Prepare yourself." Once she had departed, Eric emerged from the kitchen. It resonated with weight. David's brow furrowed as he spoke. "Jennifer knows I'll be at Riviera. She harbors a sense of suspicion. Will that alter the course of action?" David slowly shook his head. "Absolutely not. It certainly heightens the tension. This could prove advantageous for us." Eric wore a sly grin. "Times you can be quite intimidating, are you aware of that? So chillingly precise." David's gaze remained unwavering. "It is not cold." With precision, David made the necessary corrections. "A distinction exists." With a slight nod, Eric acknowledged the validity of the argument. "Do you require my presence on Friday?" "Back up," David instructed. "Negative. This moment is meant solely for Lila and me." Pristine. Exacting with a deliberate motion, Eric advanced and set the small microphone gently upon the desk. "Everything is in place. The battery endures for a span of 6 hours." He clasped David's shoulder, his voice resolute. "No matter the circumstances, you have a family that stands by you unwaveringly." Once Eric departed, David lingered in his office, meticulously examining every facet of the plan. The elements were set in motion. Jennifer was aware he would be at Riviera, yet the reason eluded her. She would be tense, possibly even prepared to face him head-on. Flawless. Allow her to bask in the illusion of superiority, the deceptive comfort of dominance, until the reality came crashing down, dismantling her carefully constructed facade. David glanced at his phone and noticed a message from Lila. "The final preparations have been meticulously completed. Are you prepared?" He responded with an emphatic, "Absolutely. Just 2 more days." There is a distinct absence of fulfillment. There is no respite. Merely the serene assurance of a man who had navigated the ruins of treachery, not with fury, but with exactitude. As Friday evening descended upon Portland, it brought with it an unexpected sharpness, a rare gift for the spring season. The city was enveloped in hues of amber and gold as David faced his closet, choosing his attire for the evening's adventure, a charcoal suit, Ashley's preferred choice, elegantly complemented by a deep blue tie, not for her advantage, but for the declaration it conveyed. Unyielding, unyielding. His wedding ring lingered on his finger for the final time, not as a token of affection, but as a testament to broken vows. The phone vibrated with a sudden buzz. A message penned by Lila. "In place. She adorns herself in red. He appears anxious." They had come early. David glanced at his watch point 7:30, precisely as planned. He navigated the streets downtown with an almost robotic accuracy, coming to a stop near Riviera. The stroll to the restaurant allowed him a moment to gather his thoughts, to revisit the strategy one last time. The microphone nestled in his jacket pocket, pressing gently against his chest. Within the depths of his inner pocket lay a folder, brimming with the essential tools to expose the web of deceit. Lila encountered him at the entrance, her smile radiating a heartfelt concern. "All is in order as you asked," she murmured softly, guiding him through the threshold. "The exquisite dessert has been artfully crafted. My sincere gratitude, Lila. Your discretion is truly valued." With a nod, she led him to table 7, just as she had promised. "Your companion has made their entrance." The hostess guided David to the table, where Lila Hayes awaited, captivating in a black dress that radiated an aura of somber sophistication. Her dark hair flowed in gentle waves around her shoulders, and her makeup was impeccable, a shield of a different nature. As David drew near, she lifted herself just a fraction, her demeanor serene and collected, revealing none of the unease that the night would unfold. Just as expected, she whispered as David settled into his chair. David took in the room with a leisurely glance, his eyes drifting over the details. He swiftly located Jennifer and Ethan seated at the window table. Jennifer donned a striking red dress, one he had never encountered before, her blonde locks elegantly swept up, exposing the delicate curve of her neck. Ethan leaned in closer, his words a soft murmur that drew a laugh from her. A sound that once held the world for David, but now echoed with emptiness. Jennifer remained blissfully unaware of his presence. "Excellent." Lila noted their comfort, her tone remaining even. With a practiced demeanor, David replied, "They shall not remain for an extended period." He unfurled the menu, savoring each moment as he perused its offerings. "Shall we commence?" They selected wine and appetizers, carefully crafting the illusion of a relaxed evening meal. Their dialogue unfolded with a measured professionalism. Two colleagues engaged in a business exchange, meticulously avoiding any hint of impropriety should their words be overheard. As the wine was presented, Lila lifted her glass in a graceful gesture. For the sake of clarity, she stated, her voice resonating across the table as a result. David redavided, gently tapping his glass against hers. The noise was sufficient to draw Jennifer's focus. Her head pivoted, eyes expanding as they met David's gaze. The hue vanished from her complexion, only to be replaced swiftly by a rush of either alarm or anger, or perhaps a blend of both. Ethan turned his attention to where she was looking, his response measured yet revealing, a subtle tension in the way his shoulders tightened. A reluctant smile graced his lips as he turned back to Jennifer, his voice dropping to a whisper. Lila observed with a hint of sarcasm, "They've seen us." She appears unsettled. David foresaw her recovery. She invariably does. Indeed, Jennifer swiftly gathered her composure, reclining in her chair with an air of intentional nonchalance. With a soft whisper, she leaned in towards Ethan, and then, to David's astonishment, she lifted her glass toward them before savoring a sip. Lila redavided on the impressive recovery, her tone laced with a touch of approval, yet tinged with a hint of desperation. Their appetizers made their entrance, momentarily halting the forward thrust of the plan. Jennifer and Ethan upheld the illusion of a romantic dinner, yet their gestures were rigid, contrived. Twice, Jennifer glanced at her phone, possibly seeking a message of guidance or encouragement. Ethan downed his wine with haste, gesturing for a refill. Lila observed with keen interest as Jennifer's laughter grew increasingly bold and deliberate, articulating a perspective. In a state of utter desperation, David responded, his demeanor unchanged. "She believes that by feigning indifference, we will retreat. It seems she isn't quite familiar with you, is she?" Lila's question lingered in the air, an unspoken tension weaving through their shared meal. David discovered a fresh sense of admiration as he observed Lila. Her poise, her unwavering sense of direction, resonated with his OWN an alternate existence. Amidst varying conditions, they could have found themselves as companions. "It's time," David declared, glancing at his watch. Are you prepared? Lila inhaled deeply, a subtle indication of her fragility. Indeed. David's gaze met Lydia's from across the room, accompanied by a subtle nod. She reciprocated the gesture before vanishing into the kitchen. Jennifer inclined her body toward Ethan, their fingers woven together upon the tablecloth. The closeness of it struck David with the force of a tangible impact, not from hurt, but from the boldness of the moment. She was acutely aware of his gaze upon her. This was intentional. Lila's voice took on a steely edge. At this moment, David rose to his feet with Lila trailing closely behind him. With a calm assurance, they approached the table by the window. Jennifer caught sight of them approaching, her smile abruptly solidifying into a mask. Ethan started to stand, yet David motioned for him to remain in his seat. Jennifer, David reiterated with an air of indifference. Ethan, would you mind if we joined you? Without pausing for a response, David drew a chair from a nearby vacant table and settled into it. Lila followed suit. Jennifer, what occupies your time at this moment? Jennifer let out a sharp hiss, her facade beginning to unravel. This is not suitable. Unacceptable? David arched an eyebrow. Fascinating selection of language. Ethan took a moment to clear his throat. Listen, my friend. I believe your opinion doesn't concern me, Ethan. David interrupted him with effortless grace. Or what stirs within you, or the rationalizations you've crafted to elucidate your choices. Lila faced Ethan, her tone steady. Did you find pleasure in your stay at the hotel last weekend? Is that the charge made to our joint account? Ethan's expression grew steely. Lila, this is not where we belong. Where is the location, Ethan? Lila inquired. Is this our abode? Where did you vow to remain true? The office of the marriage counselor you declined to attend? Jennifer's face lost all its color. David, if you would be so kind. Eyes are upon me. Indeed they are, David conceded. Observers of this instant. Isn't it fitting? Wouldn't you agree? In that instant, Lydia glided toward their table, a silver-covered dish in her hands. Your special dessert, she announced, placing it with great care in the center of the table. We didn't order dessert, Ethan reiterated, a flicker of confusion momentarily eclipsing his unease. Compliments of your hosts, Lydia replied, her hand gracefully indicating David and Lila before she took a step back. David extended his hand, lifting away the silver cover. Rather than a sweet treat, the platter showcased a curated collection of printed photographs, hotel receipts, and text message transcripts. At the heart of it all, a card displayed a carefully penned note. Loyalty, once a cherished virtue, has now faded into the annals of history. Jennifer inhaled sharply, her hand instinctively covering her mouth. Ethan's expression soured as he confronted the undeniable proof of their betrayal, exposed for the world to witness. What on earth is this? Ethan insisted, his voice escalating even in the midst of the crowd. Proof, David responded with a quiet intensity, of prolonged deceit, of deliberate treachery. He faced Jennifer, his tone icy. And the demise of all that we once shared. Jennifer, please, she implored, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. Perhaps we should discuss this in a more private setting. This is cruel, Lila interjected. Was it truly compassionate to deceive us so openly? David's voice carried a serene strength, unwavering yet resolute. He'll take from us our time, our trust, our dignity. Silence enveloped the restaurant, as fellow patrons turned their attention to the unfolding drama. David experienced no sense of fulfillment, merely the chilling assurance that justice was unfolding as it should. I filed for divorce, he said to Jennifer with a steady voice. The papers are set to arrive on Monday. I have meticulously recorded every detail, the affair, the deceit, the chronology of events. To resist would be in vain. Jennifer's tears flowed freely. David, if you would be so kind. This does not reflect who you are. This is not the way to approach things. You don't know me anymore, David replied. Maybe you never truly did. Ethan, shaking off his initial surprise, leaned in with intensity. Your argument has been clearly articulated. Please, grant us some solitude. Actually, Lila redavided, retrieving a folder from her purse. We're not entirely done yet. With a deliberate motion, she extracted a handful of documents and gracefully slid them across the table to Ethan. Records of financial transactions from the gym. Accounts of clients from whom you've been quietly taking for months. It is, I must admit, rather methodical. Ethan's face lost all color. That is untrue. The investigators didn't share that opinion, Lila responded. The police did not respond when I filed the report this morning. Jennifer gazed at Ethan, her expression one of disbelief. What is she referring to? Ethan seized Jennifer's wrist. Disregard her words. She is fabricating this story. David's voice sliced through the palpable tension. She is not. And you were aware, Jennifer. The transfers to your private account indicate that you were aware, David stated with a composed demeanor. Jennifer's expression spoke volumes, revealing truths her words could never contradict. That a wave of guilt washed over her, panic gripping her heart as the dreadful truth settled in. She was entangled in something far more sinister than a mere affair. It wasn't me. She initiated it. Leave it to the authorities, Lila interjected. The evidence has been duly submitted to them. Ethan rose suddenly, his stature looming above the table. You insufferable wretch! He spat at Lila. You possessed no authority. Sit down, Mr. Hayes. Lydia's voice echoed from behind him, accompanied by the imposing presence of the restaurant's security guard. Otherwise, you will be shown the door. Without delay, the looming specter of additional public disgrace compelled Ethan to return to his seat. Yet the fury within him remained palpable. David rose to his feet, fastening his jacket with deliberate care. That we have reached the end of our time here, he declared. Lila stood beside him, her stance equally poised. Lila's voice dripped with coldness as she redavided. Enjoy explaining the embezzlement charges. The owner of the gym seems to be quite distressed. As they prepared to depart, Jennifer extended her hand toward David's arm. David, hold on a moment. One cannot simply. He cast his gaze upon her hand before meeting her eyes. Farewell, Jennifer. The certainty in his voice caused her to flinch, as though she had been hit. David and Lila strolled away side by side, the remnants of chaos swirling behind them. In the background, Jennifer's muffled sobs intertwined with Ethan's angry mutterings, both struggling to make sense of the chaos that had just transpired at the threshold of the restaurant. Lydia made her way toward them once more. Was it what you needed? She inquired softly, her voice barely above a whisper. It was essential, he responded. I appreciate your assistance. In the crisp embrace of the evening air, David and Lila lingered in silence, the rush of their earlier confrontation gradually fading away. Are you okay? David inquired, his tone gentle. Lila nodded, a peculiar smile dancing at the corners of her lips. Surpassed my expectations. And you? Identical. He extended his hand. I appreciate your collaboration in this matter. She grasped it with determination. Together we form an unstoppable alliance. David Ellison. Though we do, Lila Hayes, he replied, before they went their separate ways in silence. The night air carried a refreshing clarity. As though the revelation had swept aside an unseen haze, David strolled toward his car, the familiar weight of his wedding ring suddenly feeling significant after all these years. On the morrow, he would take it away. Tonight, it lingered, a testament to what had been forsaken and what had emerged in its stead: clarity, veracity, liberty. Emma, perhaps, or more likely Ethan. Yet that connection now appeared fated to unravel, ensnared by forces that transcended the affair itself. On Saturday morning, she made several calls in quick succession. David allowed the calls to slip into voicemail, absorbing her progressively frantic messages with an air of serene detachment. David, if you would be so kind. It is imperative that we engage in a conversation. This situation lacks fairness. You caught me completely off guard. I was unaware of the full scope of Ethan's financial situation. You must trust my words. At last, on Sunday, the police summoned him for questioning. David, if you would be so kind. Your assistance is required. He erased every message after listening, scribbling notes for his lawyer, yet felt only a remote pity for the woman he had once placed his complete trust in. On that Monday morning, the phone rang, and it was Lila on the other end. "Have you caught wind of the latest headlines?" David had not. Acting on her recommendation, he perused the local news website, stumbling upon a brief yet striking article about a fitness trainer from the area who had been arrested on charges of embezzlement. The piece highlighted Ethan specifically, revealing that client funds had been methodically siphoned off over an 18-month span. Jennifer had yet to be mentioned, but as the investigation progressed, that was bound to shift. "How are you managing these days?" Lila inquired. With unwavering concentration, David responded with honesty. "The divorce papers are set to arrive today. What about you? Free from burden?" Oddly enough, the end has come. Enough with the charades. They engaged in a fleeting conversation about the tangible aspects of their separation, replacing locks, untangling finances, and the intricate process of unraveling their intertwined existence. In these ordinary details lay a certain solace, a methodical approach to conclude what had once appeared unchangeable. Once the call concluded, David proceeded to his work routine, paying no mind to the inquisitive stares from coworkers who had caught wind of the whispers surrounding Friday night. The orderly confines of the office offered a fleeting sense of stability amid the surrounding turmoil. As the afternoon sun began its descent, his phone chimed, revealing Jennifer's name on the screen, though the number was one he did not recognize. After a brief pause for reflection, he responded, "David." Her voice trembled, carrying the weight of unspent tears, as if she had been weeping for hours. "I was presented with the papers, engaged in professional duties. Before the eyes of all. It is the standard procedure," he responded with a calm demeanor. "It was a deeply humbling experience," a laugh tinged with bitterness. "Yet, I suppose that was the intention." David gently shut the door to his office, seeking a moment of solitude. "What is it that you desire, Jennifer?" "An opportunity to elucidate, to express regret. Neither is required." "Damn it, David," she snapped, her composure finally fracturing. 8 years of wedded bliss. Is it really possible to just shut down like this? As if I were insignificant? The accusation ignited a spark within him, not of guilt, but a sudden surge of authentic anger that he permitted himself to reveal. "Your decisions have been made, Jennifer. For months have passed. Intentional, measured decisions to undermine all that we have created. I made mistakes," she whispered, her voice fragile, as if the words had been carefully practiced. David interrupted her. "Errors occur by chance. You deceived me each day, right before my eyes. You crafted intricate narratives for your cover stories. You were aware of Ethan's actions regarding those funds, yet you chose to remain silent. Those are errors, the essence of their being." The silence lingered in the air, punctuated solely by the rhythm of her uneven breaths. "The police believe I had a hand in Ethan's embezzlement," she finally admitted. "Were you indeed?" A prolonged silence lingers. Not in a direct manner. She confessed that she was aware he was involved with client accounts. "Yet I reassured myself that it was not my concern."